Sure, thank you. No, you're just stay right there.
Okay, well, what that was. Good afternoon, everyone. It's 2 o'clock, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. Sorry for those of you that thought we still started at 1. We changed that in January, so my apologies for the wait for some of you. Could we please have the interpreter give the instructions, please?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Ricardo Garcia. I'll be the interpreter for today's meeting. Instructions to access the interpreter via Zoom or your computer. After the host activates language interpretation mode, click the interpretation icon and select the language that you would like to hear. English and Spanish interpretation is available. Optional. To only hear the interpreted language, click mute original audio via phone. In your menu controls, tap more at the bottom right in the mobile phone app and top right in the tablet app after the host activates language interpretation mode. Select the language interpretation and click the language that you would like to hear. English and Spanish interpretation is available. If the icon is not visible, tap the screen to make it appear. Reminder, speak slowly, pause between sentences, speak clearly, avoid interrupting or multiple people speaking, avoid using metaphors, acronyms, slang, or idioms. Interpret signals during the meeting, speak slowly, raise your voice, interrupt for clarification o communicate a concern. Acceso al intérprete a través de la computadora. Después de que el anfitrión active el modo de interpretación del lenguaje, haga clic en el símbolo de interpretación y seleccione el idioma que desea escuchar. Interpretación en inglés y en español están disponibles. Opcional, para solo escuchar el idioma interpretado, haga clic omitir audio original. A través del teléfono, en los controles de la reunión oprima More después de que el anfitrión active el modo de interpretación del lenguaje. Esta opción estará localizada en la parte inferior a la derecha de la aplicación de su teléfono y la parte superior a la derecha de la aplicación de su tableta. Seleccione interpretación del lenguaje y elija el idioma que desea escuchar. Interpretación en inglés y en español están disponibles. Si el símbolo no es visible, toque la pantalla para que aparezca. Recordatorio, hable despacio, pausa entre oraciones, hable con claridad, evite interrumpir o hablar varias personas entre sí, evite usar metáforas, siglas, doble sentido o modismo. Señales del intérprete durante la junta, hable despacio, alce la voz, interrumpir para clarificación o comunica algún problema. Algo más para decir unas personas que están presentes y necesitan interpretación en español. Vemos en la parte de atrás, tenemos audífonos, si alguien es lo que lo necesita. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. We're now going to skip down to item 8. We are short 1 for our quorum anyway, and Michael should be here shortly. And we also were excited to have our CIT Deputy and CIT Officer of the Year award ceremony. We're ready.
We're ready. All right, good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate the good turnout we have. So too many VIPs to announce, but we have a lot of chiefs and top people here that are going to go coming out. Oh, that might work. Red one?
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. So this is our 11th year to do the CIT awards. We're honoring people for the work completed in the year 2024. CIT program has been around for 24 years now. If you haven't heard of us, we're best kept secret around the county. We have about 90% of all patrol personnel are now trained, and we're probably around 60 to 70% of custody deputies also. So we made a lot of progress. We trained 2,400 personnel over the last 24 years. So we're doing pretty good. We just finished our first back-to-back CIT academies a couple weeks ago. Because of so many graduating from the recent academy, we had to do 2. We're only allowed to train 50 at a time. We had 69 graduate, so that didn't work. And we may have to do that again this October, but you know, we're just getting that many more people trained. It opens up opportunities for us getting some of the veteran officers that missed out on CIT earlier in their career, get them back in there. So as a reminder, when we're done, so all of our recipients and our VIPs, we're gonna go over to the foyer at the entrance on the Williams Drive side to do some photographs, so please hang around for that. But as soon as our event is done, we will all leave and let the board continue on with their meeting. So first of all, I'd like to mention on Zoom, we have Myrna and Lori Bennett, the Fence Factory. You wave. There they are. So they, the reason I'm mentioning them, they have donated to the CIT program the last 2 years, and we used that money to pay for the awards for everyone. And they've been very generous to the CIT program for the last 2 years, and want to give them a shout out, Fence Factory. Thank you very much. Next up, we're going to do our Susan Lucky Mental Health Professional Award. But before that, we're going to pay a little tribute to Susan. I'm going to bring out Rebecca Carpenter. And Susan's sister, Elise. Daughter, sorry.
Yeah. Good afternoon. For those of you who do not know me, I am Rebecca Carpenter, and I've been on the crisis team since 1998, and the crisis team is where I met my friend Susan Lucky. I was asked to provide a brief account of the life of Susan. But being brief is no easy feat. Susan began her career as a psychiatric technician at Camarillo State Hospital and transitioned from the state to Ventura County Behavioral Health, where she served our clients for over 25 years. Outside of behavioral health, Susan volunteered her time to our county firefighters as part of their critical incident stress debriefing team, providing support and education to these first responders so they would know they were not alone after experiencing a traumatic event. Susan was also dedicated to the lives of her daughters, Elise and Amanda. When her girls were young, she was a member of the PTA, room mom, cheer coach, chairperson for the school carnivals. She attended horseback riding lessons, barrel racing competitions, and Backstreet Boys concerts were a must. When the leader of Amanda's service group abruptly quit, it was Susan who picked up the pieces to lead and mentor girls ages 11 to 20 for over 10 years. When a board member was needed for the Ocean View School District, it was Susan who stepped in and remained on this board for many years. Family was always a priority to Susan. As her daughters became women, the activities just changed. There was traveling, weddings, grandchildren, and of course, Backstreet Boys concerts. Where there was Susan, there was her husband, Ken. Ken supported Susan in all her endeavors and her occasional mischief. Susan was a beloved daughter, sister, wife, mother, grandmother, and friend. Susan had a special fondness for the CIT program. She was involved with CIT from the beginning in 2001, where she held various titles. She was a teacher, a mental health professional, an officer of the day, and she participated in role play. She believed that behavioral health, the crisis team, and law enforcement could and should collaborate to provide optimal care for our clients in crisis. Susan truly lived a life of service without expecting or asking for anything in return. It was Susan who designated the criteria for this award. She believed if you have chosen a path to serve,
You should serve with the following attributes. First, she said integrity, which she defined as doing the right thing even when no one is paying attention. Second, honesty. She stated this is self-explanatory. Third, advocacy, always working to better our services for the clients. Passion, a passion for working with our clients with mental health issues and a drive to improve services and change these services as needed. Compassion, having a caring, empathetic attitude. Commitment to the job and our clients. And last, collaboration and cooperation with other agencies and with empathy for both clients and staff, and having a strong understanding of the importance of the CIT program. Thank you.
Right, with that, our recipient for the 2024 award is Tina Coates.
Say Susan would approve of this 100%.
Yeah, Tina's been a very great asset to the CIT program. She trains all law enforcement on the 5150, 5585 WI, the code, so that we can help make better decisions on determining probable cause if somebody needs to be taken into custody. So she also helps out as a evaluator during our role plays on the final day. She's got a lot of experience doing that, and we really appreciate everything she's done for the program. Thank you. Next up, we're going to announce our 2024 CIT Deputy and Officers of the Year. And they'll be receiving a certificate from the Ventura County Behavioral Health Advisory Board. Thank you again for having us here and letting us host our awards here. We really appreciate you taking time in your agenda. And first up, who's not here, but I'm going to announce her name, Deputy Natalie Maladon with the Camarillo Police Department. She wasn't able to be here today. She's in training. Next up, we'll hold the applause at the end once we announce all the names. Next up is Deputy John Marcoux, custody. Senior Deputy Wendell Campbell from Florida Police Department. Deputy Robert Bain, Moore Park Police Department. Next is the man who almost didn't make it because his wife's about to deliver a baby at any time. Deputy Myron Bennett, Thousand Oaks Police Department. Next is Deputy Ricardo Turuiartes, headquarters. Deputy Eric Pierce, Ohio Police Department. Our officers, Andrew Canino, Fort Wayne Police Department, wasn't able to be here, so. Next is Jordan Upton. Next is Officer Carly Grice, Simi Valley Police Department. And next we have Eddie Acevedo, San Paulo Police Department. Last but not least, a long overdue congratulations for Elise Heroes, Corporal Ventura Police Department. Elise is also one of our instructors during the CIT Academy, and she's been a really great asset to the program. In the interest of time, I wasn't able to read citations on every single person, but collectively, they've done a lot of amazing work, whether it be on individual calls or just helping out their department, completing their CIT reports and cards that come to our office, and then we work on doing referrals. So it's all about the connectivity of all the departments. And here in the crowd, I also have some of my CIT coordinators for each station, which make Aaron and I our jobs a lot easier. In fact, I forgot to mention Aaron Hitzman, he's with the CIT program. Anyway, Aaron gets the referral cards and then we decide we probably do 50 to 60 referrals a month. And the whole goal is to get people connected to services, so we don't keep going to the same house over and over again on 911 calls. And that's always been the goal of the program. And also, as a reminder, everyone in this room, you're all part of the CIT program. It's not just a law enforcement program. It's about us being able to be interconnected and make the whole system work well. We're lucky here in this county. We have all law enforcement agencies doing the exact same training. Not any other county in the state can say that. And we also have probably the best relationship with our behavioral health program of anyone else. Both in concept and that we work together, and also we have a good financial relationship with the county. They help pay for 2/3 of the CIT program, and it helps us function and be more effective. And with that, again, I want to say thank you to the board for having us here. Thank you for everyone that showed up today. And as one final reminder, when we're done, we're all going to head to the foyer on the Williams Drive side of the building and take some photographs. But congratulations on all the recipients.
Okay, we'll give them a minute, this is probably gonna be. We got a speak in, all we forgot, why are we doing that? So good. Okay, thank you. Now we can start with, roll call, TJ?
Soledad Barriga. I'm here. Andre Bobak,
Yes.
Nancy Fortune.
Present.
Sylvia Garcia. Janice Gardner.
Here.
Myself. Supervisor Goodyear.
Here.
Nomi Marufo.
Here.
Dahlia. Ross. Michael Rodriguez.
Here.
And excuse absence from Chair. Diane McKay.
Here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We don't have any requests for emergency circumstances today. So next will be approval of the agenda by roll call. TJ.
Okay, Soledad Barriga.
Yes,
Andre
I'm
Robot.
sorry, we have to make a motion and then second, and then I'll be roll.
Oh.
Need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve today's agenda as written.
Second.
Thank you for that. Now a roll call vote.
Soledad Barriga.
Yes.
Andre Robot.
Yes.
Nancy Butcher.
Yes.
Sylvia Garcia. Janice Gardner.
Yes.
CJ Keeley, yes. The Supervisor Rivera.
Yes.
Nomi.
Yes.
Diane McKay.
Yes.
Dahlia Robin.
Yes.
Michael Rodriguez.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay, and then one more time around, I need a motion to approve the minutes.
Approval.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Second, thank you very much. And then a roll call vote, CJ?
Soledad Barton,
Yes.
Andre Robach,
Yes.
Nancy Borchert,
Yes.
Sylvia Garcia, Janice Gardner,
Yes.
CJ Keely, yes. Matt Lever,
Yes.
Nomi.
Yes.
Diane McKay,
Yes.
Dahlia Robin,
Yes.
Michael Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thank you. Jackie, do we have any public comments?
There was a public comment that was submitted. Written public comment, everyone on the board should have it, and then it'll be attached to the minutes.
Did everyone get that? It was on your seat? Yes,
Yeah. Great. I would like to speak during.
if you'd like to speak now, you can speak in public comments you have 3 minutes. You have to come up to the podium to the mic, please, and please introduce your name and city. And just as a reminder, it is being interpreted, so speak kind of slowly, no acronyms.
Hello, everyone, and I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Brenda Guillen. I am from the city of Oxnard. My son has been under the care of Ventura Behavioral Health since 2020. He has autism and a severe mental illness as well. He is homeless as a result of an improperly treated manic psychotic episode, and now he has disappeared. The silence of his disappearance is devastating to our family. This could have been prevented. We feel that this county has failed my son at every level of service. Ventura Behavioral Health and related services, law enforcement, and our county judicial system. Not for a lack of resources, but for a lack of proper implementation and collaboration of those services. We have vehemently advocated for my son. We have vehemently continuously to communicate to his providers about my son's rapid decompensation, and nothing was done. Our voices were ignored, leading to his homelessness. While homeless, we continue to express that our son was vulnerable, unstable, and unsafe. As evidence, he was assaulted with a deadly weapon. He sustained injuries severe enough that it needed transfer to Ventura County Trauma Center. There, no consultation with a psychiatrist was given. He is not capable of self-care post-hospital discharge. Law enforcement is passive towards finding a person with autism. They will only do something when they have an encounter with him. Our judges in our mental health proceedings over conservatorship cases, unfortunately, apply the law quite limited, only pointing to 3 areas, which is shelter, food, and clothing. Unfortunately, that ignores the severity of past history and doctors' advocacy for these patients. Hence, a revolving door in our system. I have found that our county has a proclivity to let these patients go to complete failure before they're intervened. This is the reason why my son has been homeless, unstable, unsafe, and now completely disappeared. I'm here to advocate for more urgent collaboration efforts to find my son, and to put to areas of our county that need attention that has led to the outcome of my son's disappearance and suffering under the care of Ventura Behavioral Health.
You're at 3 minutes, if you can just wrap it up.
I want to thank you for listening. And I know that I don't just speak for my son. I want to speak for everyone that is in my Smiller case. I'm not alone. We do have great services, and I think that we need more collaboration, including the collaboration with families to be able to prevent this. I think preventive measures are much better than where we find ourselves here right now. Thank you very much for listening to me today.
Thank you for coming. Okay, chair announcements. The only announcement I have is that,
I'm
our chair.
sorry, we have another public comment.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, that's Mary Hoffner. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, thank you very much. I wanted to speak today. Brenda, I have been working with Brenda and her family, trying to help get her son prompt and effective treatment, probably for over a year now. The number of times I'm an advocate for people who are trying to get help for loved ones who have a serious mental illness. Brenda's son is not alone in terms of the type of treatment people in VCBH's system receive. I'm an advocate. I see a lot of families who are trying to get help for loved ones. And I would say 90% of the time, the people who are ill are homeless or incarcerated and trapped in the revolving door. The reason you are here today as an advisory board is because the state legislature mandates that since the passage of Prop 63, every county needs to have an advisory board. The MHSA, which is Prop 63, has deposited millions of dollars into the county coffers. And the reason for that money is to treat people who have mental illness, to prevent that mental illness from becoming severe and disabling, to lower the incarceration rates of people with mental illness, to lower dropout rates, to lower homelessness. VCBH has one job for this population, and that is to provide prompt and effective treatment. These illnesses are treatable. We have many studies that show evidence-based practices, but the problem is that we don't have the leadership in this county who is willing to say, we need to make sure these people do not fall through the cracks. This is another case, what Brenda just talked about. Her son is now missing, but he's touched the VCBH system in over 8 departments and programs. He started at Tay. He ended up at Hillmont a number of times, at least 5 hospitalizations. He ended up at the crisis residential treatment. He left because it's an unlocked facility and he was not in his right mind. He left and now he was arrested for a misdemeanor in a homeless shelter. Then now he is missing. He was assaulted. The problem is he's been in the system since 2020 and no one in the county is monitoring him. No one has looked to see where he is. No one, it's come to our attention that Dr. Cooper has been in touch with him. Of course, nobody will tell the mother unless she really advocates strongly. Understand that no one owes this young man's mother anything, but they owe him something. They owe him a duty of care and treatment. When you are living with a severe mental illness and you have autism on top of it, and you are left homeless
Mary,
and
can you wrap it
assaulted,
up in 2 minutes?
I would like this board to understand why they're there and what kind of help needs to happen in this county so that we can stop people becoming homeless.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comments? Any I miss? Okay. Moving on. Again, I'm going to share announcements and our presentation from the continuum care assessment. They had an emergency not here today, so moving on to the director's report. Thank you for being with us.
Good afternoon, Connie Bruno, Perez, Assistant Director, Behavioral Health here in Ventura County. You have the report, it's attached for your thorough review, it's very comprehensive. We just wanted to point out that some of the, at the very front of your report, there are some days of significance that we're observing. Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month, BIPOC Health Month, Alcohol Awareness and Screening Day, Autism Month, and Volunteer Week. As you know, May is coming up, which will be May Mental Health Month, so we'll have more things coming up in May. So our department, as you can see in the comprehensive report that we provided to you, our department is actively working, we're planning many of the priorities and requirements from the State Department of Healthcare Services, as well as other departments like the Department of State Hospitals, etc. But you can see our strategy planning and administration division is extremely busy with BHSA or Behavioral Health Services Act, Proposition 1. We reviewed what is called modules 2, and they release also module 3. Module 3 specifically is providing guidance on how we're going to develop the integrated 3-year plan. So one note for all of you is that this particular plan is going to be Proposition 1 funding, the MHSF funding, but also the rest of our department's funding. So it's going to be very comprehensive, and we are required to partner with public health, our Gold Coast, our health plan, and to our managed cares to be very well coordinated and integrated as much as possible. So we are in the process of providing some feedback. The State Department releases documents, their proposed frameworks and or documents to use, and then counties provide feedback or comments. So we're in the process of providing some of that feedback for module 3. Again, with the changes with BHSA, you've seen a lot of information about how it's focusing on what is called the behavioral services and supports. It's focusing on workforce enhancement and training, early intervention, the full service partnerships, documentation requirements for all the BHSA services, and then also all the other components of BHSA. So thank you to our SPA division who continues to work and also participating in many meetings that are taking place at the state and also through our state association, CBHDA. Also very busy, just a brief update, you know, we applied for an infrastructure grant, behavioral health infrastructure. You heard about that. We submitted 2 applications thanks to our great team. One for MHRC, or Mental Health Rehabilitation Center on Lewis Road, and then a psychiatric health facility in Simi Valley. So still, we are expecting notification of award. We are being optimistic. Hopefully, May, Mental Health Month, they can provide us an update on that, on those applications. The next item that also was very busy, another requirement with CalAIM and all the different requirements for the state is what is called BH Connect, another acronym. So here is really pushing counties, this is statewide, for us to provide and use evidence-based practices for the different populations that we serve. So if you see in your report, some of the evidence-based practices that we may apply, that we may use are related to access, reform, and outcomes. So this is an incentive program. So if counties implement or decide to implement or opt in, as they're calling it, to utilizing any of these evidence-based practices, there will be incentive pay for counties. So there is an available amount for counties to apply for this. So you've heard of what's called the Act for the Assertive Community Treatment. You've heard about forensics community treatment. You've heard about some of the first episode psychosis, coordinated care, et cetera, et cetera. So it's focusing on all the different populations that we work. And again, really holding counties, holding us accountable to demonstrate success and outcomes with the populations we serve. So our SPA division, very busy. And actively planning. Also in your report, there's what's called the managed care operations. These are, as you know, the new names due to our restructure last year. Very busy with compliance, quality assurance, quality improvement, training and for our staff's competencies and ensuring that we are providing services in the highest quality, utilization management, our nursing program, et cetera. Very, policy, very actively working on many of the, components of our department because we have to comply with state and some of the federal requirements that we are under. So I want to thank our managed care operations divisions. I want to pause for a little bit. I don't know if anybody had questions on the first report from SPA and then any of these under managed care before I finish or anything like that.
Any questions from the board
On the first two sections.
on the first two sections? Okay.
All right, we'll keep going. And then, of course, we have what is called our outpatient clinical operations. With the restructure, we also established that division chief position, so oversees all the clinics, all the services that we have in the different areas of the county. As you know, again, related to Mental Health Services Act, we need to leverage that funding source and ensure that not only that we don't revert any funds to the state, but also that we are filling those gaps or that we are filling the needs of our individual clients and also the communities that we serve. So with that, I want to commend our team. An FSP or full service partnership enhancement plan was developed to better leverage those funds or leverage them more to prevent what is called reversion. So thanks to Dr. Jessica Davis, she is going to be our single point of contact or our lead to ensure that those programs get implemented and also get monitored, and that we're monitoring all the outcomes that we are required under MHSA. And then, of course, it'll put us in a position to be very well prepared for what's coming with what is called Proposition 1 or BHSA, Behavioral Health Services Act. I think Ventura County is one of the counties that is ahead, I think, than most counties, so I want to commend our county for that. We're also wanting to leverage our youth and families full service partnerships. So thanks to our staff that are working diligently as well in that area. We're doing collaborations with child welfare, which is very important in some of the trainings for advocacy to ensure that our clients and families are having their needs met. And then, of course, any opportunity that there's trainings in the state, hopefully not too many other states, but we want to send our staff to keep their competencies on top of their licenses and everything so that we can improve again the quality and outputs of the services. And then last but not least, we do have our forensics, justice involved and reentry services. I know we have a great presentation coming up on the CARE Act, but you also will note that under our CARE Act is, as you know, some of the cohort 1 and then cohort 2s, there were not very many numbers. I think you were hearing the numbers are low. In our county, they're slowly picking up. We're having from the state hospitals, from behavioral health, from our local partners, increasing the number of petitions and the number of people to be enrolled in this great program. And again, you'll hear a lot of great data and information in a little bit. So I want to thank our Dr. Shipper and the team for working so well on the CARE Act. There is a timeline. I think more information will be here in just a minute. So if you can, in your report, maybe you can save the date. We did include the date of the CARE Act. Town hall is coming on May 5th at 6 p.m.
May 15th.
Oh, it was changed. Okay, our error over here. Sorry about that. Our report says May 5th, correction, May 15th. Thank you. Michael, appreciate it. And there will be, the location, is that still the same? At the
Lower Plaza Assembly
Still, okay.
Room in, at the Hall of Justice.
At the Hall of Justice, okay. This one says Hall of Administration, sorry, so it's Hall of Justice.
Hall of Administration.
Okay, good, no problem. So May 15th
It's in the lower plaza.
in the lower plaza.
At 800 South Victoria Avenue.
Correct, and it is May 15th. Apologies on the error in our report.
Not jury duty.
At 6 p.m.
6 p.m. So we hope you can join us. Thank you. And then we're also working, as you know, we are required to implement what's called Senate Bill 43. We are required to implement it by January 1st of 2026. We have an amazing team, multi-department partnership with our force, with the public defender, DA, everybody, the hospitals, you know. This is changing what is called the LPS law to include under grave disability folks who have severe substance use conditions or disorders for them to be eligible for grave disability. So our team, thanks to the great work that is being done, some committees have been established to be very focused in having some deliverables and focusing on education and training with this new law change. Placement, facility readiness, as you know, and you've heard before in this meeting. The big challenge with this bill was that we do not have locked facilities for substance abuse. Actually, we don't have enough probably locked facilities for our mental health. But as we move more towards co-occurring disorders, we will definitely pay more attention to having those facilities. So placement and facility readiness, coordination and communication, patient navigation and support, and data collection and reporting. We do have to have a very extensive report that we do submit on a quarterly basis as well. And we do need our partners, our hospitals, to help us document our 5150s, 72-hour goals, et cetera. So I want to thank our team in forensics as well. All our teams are working really hard. We are optimistic and planning to be ready and complete these deliverables by September of 2025, even though we are not due to launch till January 1st of 2026. And then the last page of your handout, we always want to include veterans resources. So we include different links for information, so it's accessible to you. So with that, I close my report, unless you have any questions, or any follow-up items for us.
Thank you so much for that. Are there any questions either in the first part of the report or the second?
Yes, I had a question about, some of the programs that you guys will be, is this for the programs that you said that are directed towards like communities that are in need or, specifically probably more like in the South Oxnard area where there isn't a lot going on there as far as mental health services, or really, I think there's churches, but not a lot of nonprofits. When will that be up for discussion as far as what the need is for those communities?
So one of the things that is also in your report is that the public health, they do their needs assessment. We use that data for our planning processes as well as other data that we collect. So there's two things going on. One is we are planning for the Proposition 1 Behavioral Services Act. We have to launch that by July 1st of 26. That particular process is kind of started already. We've had several presentations by Courtney Lavelle for different partners, but that's going to be a community driven process as far as telling us what are the needs, what are the gaps, what should we be paying attention to as we develop this integrated plan for behavioral health. So that's one. So that is, Courtney should be able to release that information. Let me see if I have one of the staff here. Do we have a timeline? It will be posted on our website. It will be very transparent. We will release the different dates and times when we will solicit even more specific input from our communities. South Oxnard is definitely one, and all the areas like Fillmore, Santa Paula, all the other areas that we need to be looking at. The behavioral health, the BH Connect, the one that I was talking about as far as being an incentive program, where the counties are expected to use evidence-based practices. That one is another opportunity that we have to look into as far as the services and the gaps. So the answer to your question, long answer is this board will be definitely included and informed way ahead of all that being put together.
Okay, so, and then that you're wanting to have that implementation by the,
So the Behavioral Health Services Act requires that we have an integrated plan implemented by July 1st of 2026. And that plan gets reviewed and approved by our board of supervisors. It has to be approved by our board of supervisors. It will come here as your advisory board. You will see, but there's planning processes that will be in place for opportunity for input and guidance.
okay, I just wanna like, for the community to know, up to what time frame will they be able to give you input so that you can start creating your plan?
Yes. You know what I'm gonna do, my takeaway from this, I'm gonna make sure that we get a preliminary timeline that we can release to this board so you have an idea. but in the presentation that Courtney Lubella has been doing, she has been presenting the overall timeline. And it's all specified as well there. I think when she came here, and she's probably gonna come back to just keep you, updated on what's going on, but I will make sure, that we post it on our website, and we'll be sure that we follow up with our director as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. And sometimes they'll say the end of the year, that's the end of the fiscal year, June 30th, so it sometimes gets used, yeah. And we think of December and they jump. If you have, a question, you have to come to the podium and it needs to be quick because you already used your 3 minutes.
Question is in regards to population need and representation. In this inquest, is there any representation from families and clients directly? Someone that is representing that needs? Or is it just agencies that are reporting the needs?
So we have, looking at countries, so the stakeholder process for VHSA is extensive. And we are very committed to the voice of the client and of the family members. So we will definitely follow up and ensure that we have those opportunities researched and presented.
Part of that is the continuum of care, that we were supposed to get a report on today, and they were unfortunately not able to be here, and that's gonna show some of the gap analysis as well, that it's been worked on for a couple of years. Okay. Thank you, moving on, are there any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm sorry, that's why, I just want to have more clarification because as we had somebody come in, I think the key that we're missing among especially the Latino community is, collaboration. And without having, and I talked to Connie before, about this, but without having someone between VCBH and the community, I know we have a board, but we're still missing that component. And if there are any nonprofits out there that you guys can think of or can, and I've used this word before, a conduit, so that we can have family members go to them and collect that information and then bring it back to you guys. Whether that's working more with, I just mentioned the Catholic Church because that's Latino heavily congregation, but we're missing that. And so that's why I'm just kind of like really wanting to get more of this feedback if you're saying you're gonna have it, but I think that we need some more somehow just to be able to, whether it's another town hall or something like that, because we don't have it right now. And like, I've talked about having support groups for the Latino community. So, yeah, I know I'm just laughing, but I just really want to emphasize that. And that's why I think that was the family member that came up to talk with that was the point that she was driving home.
Yes, and, sorry about that. So just so the board is aware, we are working, very regularly what is called the Latino Reduction Disparities Committee. And we have different zip codes where we have representatives from the different Latino communities, where we're looking at penetration rates, we're looking at access, et cetera. So that's a committee that we've had in collaboration with Dr. Joe, our healthcare agency director, and our director and myself. We meet on a monthly basis, but I will take this back to the group in relation to what is the best way. We've done town halls in Santa Paula specifically on this, but we can definitely provide you with an update by the next meeting if you like, or we can give you more information.
I will say the work group met, one of the things that we wanted to do is get the community-based organizations that work with our populations to come in 1, 2 at a time, depending on their size, and present what they do to the BHAB, and then therefore we know kind of who's out there. And so we're still trying to put that list together, but, so if anyone has anything to add, please let us know.
Is it just a list of CBOs that you're,
Well, the list of, because we're gonna have them come and present what they do and provide information to us.
that's what I'm sorry, but that's what I have a problem with some of our CBOs some of the CBOs that get a portion of the CBH money, they do great work in our community. And I'm not saying that they don't, I mean, they do. But a lot of our CBOs that are poor CBOs, that don't get the grants, that are more have Latino leadership, they're not the ones that are getting the grants, and I think they're the ones that are missing from the table. So, and I look at some of these CBOs and they're doing great stuff, but I think that they don't have that leadership that is has diversity in it. And that's just a problem with a lot of nonprofits. I understand that. But yes, I would like to have those CBOs come in and invited and be part of this discussion, because I don't believe that we have them here.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions for the director? Okay, next we have the care court update.
Hi. Good afternoon, my name is Justice Spilner, I work for County Counsel's Office, and I handle the care court calendars on behalf of behavioral health. So I wanted to talk about care court is based on the California's Community Assistance Recovery and Empowerment Act. And I know many of you are already familiar with what care court is, but I wanted to do a quick review and give you an update about how it's going in Ventura County so far. So what is care court? It's a program designed to provide wraparound services, including therapy, medication, and housing to certain individuals with court oversight. And it targets individuals with schizophrenia and other psychotic disorders who are not stabilized and need services. Now, common symptoms associated with schizophrenia are hallucinations, delusions, paranoia, isolation, disorganized thinking and speech. And the goal is for behavioral health to enter court approved agreements or plans with the people to get them treatment. So the process begins by somebody filing a petition with the court. The person submitting the petition is called the petitioner. The person that is the subject of the petition is called the respondent. The statutes are broad regarding who can submit a petition, a family member, behavioral health, first responders, or just a few examples of people that can submit a petition. Once the petition is filed, the judge reviews it, determines whether that person may qualify for care court. The court can order behavioral health to investigate and write a report to the court outlining whether the respondent qualifies. And if the court finds that the person may qualify for care court, then the court will set an initial court date. If the court finds the person does not qualify, then the court will dismiss the petition without prejudice, meaning that the petition can be filed again and considered again by the court. If the court sets an initial court date, the court appoints the public defender to represent the respondent throughout the rest of the process. And if the petitioner was not behavioral health, then the original petitioner will be substituted out at the initial hearing. And then behavioral health will be subbed in as the acting petitioner, and behavioral health will act as the petitioner throughout the rest of the care court process. the process, and then from there, behavioral health engages and works with the respondent and the public defender to try and reach a care agreement so that the respondent receives treatment. The process can also begin with a referral, where a judge in another court or a hospital director refers the matter to behavioral health. And then behavioral health investigates and then can file a petition, and then it would operate the same as if behavioral health filed a petition on its own initiative. So following the initial hearing regarding the court oversight, if a care agreement is reached and approved by the court, there will be periodic progress reviews where the court can monitor the treatment and progress. At these progress hearings, behavioral health provides the court with further written reports regarding the respondent's progress and how they're doing. Typically, an agreement outlines the services that will be provided specifically in the form of therapy, medication, and housing. And if an agreement cannot be reached, then after further hearings and findings, the court can order that a plan be put in place. However, if the respondent does not abide by the terms of a court agreement or plan, it doesn't participate, there are no penalties in the form of any type of confinement or any type of fee that can be imposed upon the respondent. The court has the option of terminating the respondent's participation in care court and can refer the matter to be considered for an LPS conservatorship if deemed appropriate. So regarding when care court began, it first was rolled out in the cohort 1 counties listed there in October 2023. And then the rest of the counties in California are part of cohort 2, and that just started up in December of 2024. So in terms of the numbers and how many petitions we have, currently we have 21 active petitions. Of those active cases, 9 petitions were filed by behavioral health, 5 by family members, 4 by law enforcement, and 3 by state hospitals. And so far, we have 8 agreements approved where the respondent has agreed to receive services. Per the statute, the program is supposed to be collaborative, and it's been operating that way in Ventura County. Katia Benfeld with the Public Defender's Office represents the respondents, and Lavana Adato and her team represents behavioral health. Katia and Lavana have done a great job working together to try and get respondents into the program. Lavana and her team are also responsible for writing all of the written reports that the court reviews. We have court every Wednesday afternoon. Judge Wasco is the regular judge who handles care court, courtroom 22. Judge Wasco has been very helpful, accommodating, and trying to streamline the process. And the public defender, Katia, Lana, and I all meet with Judge Wasco in his chambers to discuss the cases before court starts. And then every Tuesday afternoon, Katia, Lavana, myself, my colleague, Martha Knudsen, all have a meeting to discuss the cases that are on schedule that next day so we can game plan and tie up any loose ends. So the challenges that we've seen so far, all care proceedings are confidential, so I can't give you any concrete examples. But just from a common sense standpoint, those who suffer from schizophrenia often lack insight into their disorders and their need for treatment. So there are obvious issues gaining their trust and getting them to come to court and accept treatment. Also, a large amount of the population doesn't have stable living arrangements. So locating them and finding them to engage them can also be a challenge, but this is nothing that we didn't expect going into the program based on the nature of the disorder and the symptoms that it causes. In terms of resources, if you'd like to read more about care court, there are a couple of resources listed there. The DHCS and the Care Act section on its website, as does Ventura County's Court Self-Help Department. And then, as mentioned earlier, there is a town hall meeting set for May 15 All right, thank you. It's set for, I believe, May 15 at 6 PM at the Hall of Administration. There are flyers that are in the back there that you can take with you that provide some information, but will be, the major players there, including Judge Wasper, will be presenting to the public about the CARE Act. And I thank you for your time, and if there are any questions from board members, I'd be happy to answer those if there's time.
There's time. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes.
I'm just wondering, of those numbers that petitions were submitted. It's always a thing about how do you find the people? And what resources do you use to? Or is that it seems like that's an area that's pretty great and people could just get lost in the system. You know, like say I'm a parent and I submitted a petition. And then my person goes AWOL and I don't know where they are, but suspect that they're around. What's the next step? How do you move from there?
Well, we have had some success locating people that don't live at established residence. Luckily, law enforcement has helped us. Also, we have a process server, behavioral health also does a lot of outreach in terms of trying to locate and figure out where best we can find somebody. So that has occurred and we have located those people. But it's definitely always a challenge and sometimes we have more difficulty than other times.
Yeah. But that just seems like a place where the best plan falls apart when you can't get the person to the place. And then again, you know, housing is a critical part of that. If they don't have, so you come to court one day, you even agree, but then you go out and you don't have a real place to live. Then maybe you don't show up in court the next time that you're supposed to come. Or that's usually how that works. They come back on a regular basis to report on how they're doing and that sort of thing. Is that
Right, there are provisions where their attorney can appear on their behalf. So as long as their attorney has authority to appear, that can take place. And a lot of times we know, or we can know that a person is at a designated location, but for whatever reason, they can't get to court that day. So that's another option that the statute allows for.
So they don't get dropped right off.
Right.
How long do they stay in the system if they haven't been able to show up very much? It seems like, you know, eventually you kind of get worn out trying to help people, but that's not what we want to do. We want to stay as active as we can. I'm just wondering, how long do you kind of mess around with that?
Well, I think it's all case by case basis. It just depends on the circumstances in terms of what headway is being made. So, and we're still pretty new in the process to see how these cases are going. So I can't really speak to that directly.
Okay.
I just had a quick, I wanted to add to Justice's comment in response to Nancy. The other thing is that our clients who are respondents also may appear remotely. And so we have set it up to where either behavioral health staff or public defender staff, for instance, can be at the location where the individual is, and then they can zoom into court. Because one of the things that we're trying to do is acknowledging that many of the folks who are involved, who are subject to these petitions, have had negative experiences in the courtroom or in the courthouse. And so how do we make it as welcoming and inclusive as possible? A few of the things we've done, we've reconfigured courtroom 22 where it's at. So instead of the judge being high up, the judge is down at the same level as everyone else. Two is to have some of these, doing whatever we can to accommodate their participation. So them not showing up doesn't mean they don't get to participate. It's understanding that it's also recognition that recovery isn't straight line. That, as you know, it's like it's up and down, backwards and forwards, left and right, and all the above, and being able to respond to all these different changes that may occur. And I think right now we have an excellent team with Katya, who's the assigned public defender. She's collaborating really well with Justice Spiller right here, as well as VCBH staff. And together, you know, we haven't had anyone drop off as of yet, but we're new into this, you know, this is what, the fourth month?
Yeah.
And I think the first agreement was signed in February, is that correct, Justice?
I'd have to check on that, Michael.
Around that time.
Right.
And so, you know, let's presume it's the first Wednesday of February. They're, you know, barely 2 months into it as far as receiving treatment and services, which does include housing. So I wasn't trying to jump the line, I just wanted to add to Mr. Spellner's response.
No, we appreciate that, Michael. Thank you. Andre?
Yeah, thanks. Couple questions. So what happened to the other 13 individuals who couldn't get an agreement? Is there ongoing efforts to reach an agreement?
Right. It's a little bit case specific, and I think I have to be careful in terms of the confidentiality rules. But that is the idea, that if they still have an active case, we're still working towards reaching an agreement with them. Some progress quicker than others in terms of reaching an agreement, but yeah, if they still have an active case, that's the idea.
And also, it looks like right now, the 9/21 is 42%. How does that compare to other counties?
In terms of
Just reaching agreements and how if you reach an agreement.
I don't have the specific stats from other counties. I know that some counties shared some statistics, but that was months ago. So I don't have updated stats to really give you a firm analysis on that.
And then additionally, that 9 out of 21, I wouldn't say that's our percentage of almost all of the remaining 13, I believe that would be, or 12. They're working towards agreements. You know, we can't say, you know, the ink's not dry, so we can't say that those agreements have been signed, but we're working towards agreements. And I know 2 agreements were signed this last year, Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
Supervisor Rivera?
Thank you, Justice, for being here and giving this update. It's kind of along the lines of what Andre was asking. You know, when I saw CareCore coming online, I, knowing the mental health challenges in the county, I was expecting it to be a pretty busy court in terms of utilization. We're averaging about 4 petitions a month. Do we know kind of statewide what numbers we're seeing in other counties in terms of utilization? I thought there'd be more, but okay, I don't know if there's a trend that we're just not seeing the participation that we expected.
I think, again, I don't have the specific statistics, but my understanding is that in other counties, it was a bit of a slow go, especially initially with cohort 1 and even the cohort 2 counties. Based on what I've heard of numbers, I think Ventura County is fairly competitive in the amount of petitions that are being filed. But then again, like the town hall, we have been trying to do different presentations to different groups of people to try to stimulate and get those petitions up.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, because I think it has awareness, we raise awareness, kind of what active participation, getting people into that, what I think ultimately really important agreements for their care.
And if I can add, if you don't mind, I'm gonna jump in,
You just-
because this is like one of the
I know, this is
areas
really
I'm-
important, Michael, and you know about it, so go for it.
is last year in cohort 1, I believe there's about 300 petitions statewide. And I believe at this stage, compared, we are much further ahead in cohort 1. And you figure cohort 1 included the largest counties in the state, Los Angeles, which is what, 12 to 13 times our size. San Diego, Orange County, Riverside, San Francisco. So it's like San Francisco, the county-wide is about our size. Because the whole city is a county.
Yeah, a lot of challenges there.
No, agreed. And so what we've seen is that we're ahead of the game, and what we're striving to do, and we'll, you know, the proof will be in the pudding, the end of it. The reality of it is that we are trying to be a model program. And the level of collaboration that we're having is kind of building upon the foundation of what we saw as best practices going on in cohort 1. The county council's been attending trainings and meetings with cohort 1, just like public defender's office and behavioral health. And so we've been we want to, you know, not reinvent the wheel, but learn from the lessons from cohort one and then build upon them. We have a long ways to go, so I'm not trying to say this, but I'm pleased with the level of progress that we've made thus far.
And I think, and Michael, I think you're right. The professionals we have working this court, the public defender, the behavioral health, county council, I think everybody is coming to the mission with a real heart. We're doing good. The more people we get involved and make the court more active, I think the better.
And we are looking at this as not as the end all, and so if someone doesn't meet care court criteria, whether it's through the initial screening from the court or subsequently, because we're looking this as an opportunity to get this person services. Now there's a light that's been shown on them, whereas before they may have been falling through the cracks. And so we want to do what we can to get appropriate services. And as far as I'm concerned, is that any, one person falling through the cracks is wrong too. And, so hopefully, between all these different efforts, we will, less people will fall through the cracks.
Thank you so much, Nancy.
I wonder if there's any, the criteria to be eligible to be going to care court is really stringent, I think. You have to have done as many, clearly fail first, a lot of times. So I'm wondering if there's any discussion, and I know we're still young into implementing the program that we have, but it seems like you might get more participants if the criteria or the different elements that being eligible were not so strict. Any thoughts about changing that at all?
There's some talk on changing legislation right now. This is what he said, what Mr. Spillner has stated, what the criteria is. That's statutory, and we can't change that. That doesn't mean they're not eligible for other services or other programs within the behavioral health continuum of care. But,
Yeah.
So I had a question specifically more about, so out of the 8, do you know how many of that was from BCBH family? Like where, or most of them came from? And I have follow-up questions for that.
That's a good question, and I didn't get a breakdown on that, so I don't know.
Cause my concern is specifically for family members, like what do they have to come armed with when they petition? And again, just coming from having a family member, having not gone through this, cause it wasn't, I just didn't know what I needed to, all the information, all the, notes and stuff like that, records.
There are judicial council forms that are basically the same forms that every petitioner has to fill out, and it goes through the list of requirements. But to answer your question, Judge Wasco, and he'd probably speak more to this at the town hall himself, but the goal is to get people in the door of care court. So if a petitioner can put in a good faith effort and provide as many facts as they can, supporting the conclusion that the person may qualify for care court, then I think the idea would be to at least have behavioral health look into it, investigate, and then write a report for the court review so they can get a better idea. So as long as the petitioners are really putting in, that good faith effort, I think the court is more willing to at least let them through the door and let behavioral health look into it.
That's what I'm just concerned because with that, there's like that conduit for the support groups, somebody that can help gather that up. And I mean, I would think that most of your, without having the number, most of them probably came from ETBH or law enforcement because they're stronger. And, but I'm kind of confused too, because where do you direct somebody? Do you direct them towards like trying to still get LPS, or do they go to care court first as a as, like, where is a family member, where you want them to put their onboarding care for first, or trying to do the conservator route through LPS?
I think it's always gonna be case specific. I mean, the conservatorship route is reserved for those with a great disability, care court is reserved for, it has certain qualifications, so a certain criteria. So it's always gonna be a big case specific there in terms of what avenue, is going to be the, best for that particular person.
Thank you.
Okay, Michael, and then we'll probably have to move on.
And then, the self-help center of the courts. They have packets, that can assist folks with filing, consumers and their families to file petitions. They will be at the town hall meeting. And then, so if you go on the Turk County Superior Court's website, about to go on it now, I can show you the link off-site or offline, is, they have a section within there as far as care court, as far as basic tutorial, basic information, what's needed, that kind of thing. And so there is that available, not the same as, walking someone through, but there are additional resources in it.
Okay, anybody else? Thank you so much, and you're probably gonna have to have you back, there were a lot of questions.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Okay. I lost my place. All right. So this is board member comments and announcements, kind of round robin. We'll start with Soledad. Do you have any comments? Nami?
No.
Dahlia? Michael?
Just a reminder, town hall that's on May 15th, it is hybrid. And so I've sent the link should be on the flyers. And then I just, this afternoon, made a request to Cheryl, asking for it to be distributed to both the BHAB and the general public, so that people can just click on the link for those who can't attend, in person, they can attend by way of Zoom.
I don't know when Cheryl gets back, so maybe send
I
it to you.
CC'd you,
Okay,
and Jackie.
okay, cool. That'll work it out. Thank you, Michael. Any more comments?
Actually, that's.
Okay.
I got a message from the sheriff, last week, and Sergeant QC has been promoted to a different assignment, so he'll no longer be on the BHAB, but the sheriff will be letting me know who's Sean's replacement. And we'll be appointing that sergeant to the board, hopefully, at our first meeting in May, so we'll have the BHAB member of that representing law enforcement.
Great, thank you. And sitting behind you is someone from Area 4 who has gone through the interview process and hopefully will be on that same meeting to be approved as well.
I just have a couple things to add to discussion about thought disorders, which we're seemingly focusing on a bit. There's been some changes in therapeutics over the last 6 months, which just briefly, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I have some interest. And one is that the medication called clozapine, which used to have required monthly blood checks, is now which is through a system called REMS, which is risk evaluation and mitigation strategies. That REMS has been discontinued, in case you haven't heard, so that's going to be more people will likely go on clozapine, which anecdotally is used a lot more in Europe and is very effective for treatment-resistant schizophrenia. And then also, if you maybe heard, there's a new medication that works in a different way called Cobenfy. It goes towards a different receptor, and that has promised to be very helpful with treatment of schizophrenia for individuals who before then have not responded to traditional and atypical antipsychotics.
Great. Great to have a doctor on board. Moving on.
Go ahead. I'm sad to say that today is my last in-person BHAB meeting. And I wanted to say how grateful I am to have been an officer on the BHAB for the last 13 years. And to help serve and assist the communities in which we serve as appointees of final board supervisors. And I'm very grateful, and this has been the most rewarding years of my life. And it's just, I'm sad to leave. And I just want to say thank you to my colleagues and to the board of supervisors and to behavioral health, and the director and to everyone that I've been in contact with for the last 13 years. So I'll still be in Ventura County. I'm just going to be going out of town a lot, so I can't commit to being a person on weekend. So thank you.
Well, Janice, we sure will miss you. We appreciate all your expertise and institutional knowledge and all the help you gave me when I started out. So you will be missed, and thank you so much for your service.
Thank you. I also like to add that, we will definitely have, very deep hold in the board once Janice is gone. I don't think there's anyone who certainly has not been touched by her knowledge, her experience, and her compassion. So Janice, we'll miss you.
Thank you very much.
We just did from my own perspective, I've known Janice a very long time and we've worked on lots of things together and she's met our group very well for multiple times.
Yes.
So God love her, you know, she's took on lots and lots of work that she didn't have to do and we will for sure miss you.
Thanks.
Well, I sure won't lose your cell number, that's for sure.
Don't fall away.
Thank you. Okay, old business.
Diane, I'm sorry, we have a public comment.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, you have 3 minutes. Client Network, go ahead.
Client Network.
Hi, thank you. It's Liz Warren. I just wanted to wish Janice all the best in all of her future endeavors and thank her so much for her outstanding service to the board and the community. She goes way back to before we had an integrated behavioral health advisory board. She was on the substance use advisory board, and so we go way back to 2008, and she's been a wonderful a leader, but a huge supporter of peer support specialists in the department and in the community. And she's a wonderful proponent of the stakeholder process and transparency. And we've all learned a lot from her. And I want to thank her personally for her leadership. It was a real pleasure and honor to work with you all these years. And I look forward to seeing you out in the community. But thank you so much for your outstanding service. It's really been a pleasure working with you, Janice.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Liz. Okay, so now on to old business. I haven't missed anybody else, okay? The appointment to the executive committee with Janice leaving and with James previously left, where our executive committee is a little thin, so it's also just for 2 more months. So if anybody has any interest in that at-large position, please let Cheryl know. Otherwise, it is CJ, Cheryl, and I, and if one of us stubs a toe, we don't have an executive committee meeting. And then the announcement of the nominating committee, Cheryl has selected CJ Keaveney and Nancy Orchard to be the nominating committee for our executive committee for next year and our officers. And then moving on to new business, just wanted to make sure that announced that the 30-day posting and public review for the Mental Health Services Act is in process, began April 14th and will end on May 19th. The link is here on your agenda, and if you have any public review comments, please put them in. And then any presentation requests, we talked about having the CBOs come and talk about what they provide. Is there anything else? If not now, just be sure to turn them in, along with any recognition or word recommendations. And then moving on to contracts, there was one correction that Andre caught, missing 0, so that has been corrected. Any other questions or comments?
Andre, where was that, Andre?
Just on the second contract, the column, it's under amount, it says $22,500. It's obviously $225,000.
Okay.
It's just missing a zero.
Thanks for, that's important. Everyone knows we're reading that at least. Okay, let's see. Okay, anything else? Any comments? Mike?
Yes, I just wanna thank you, Janice, for everything you've done. You were on this board, you welcomed me when I first came on this board several years ago. You assisted me when I was the chair, helped kind of mentor me, and I appreciate everything you've done, your commitment, your passion, your insight, and gonna miss working with you in these meetings, but I know we'll collaborate in the future, so thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Diane?
Yeah.
Right here. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that Sean did leave a message for the board and it is included in your packet as well.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, he did send a message in and Chief Sean did send a message in, it is in here, and we will miss him, but we look forward to our next law enforcement representative, as well as filling the other roles that are in our BHAB board right now. And if there is nothing further, then we are, yes?
Just very quick, I wanted to say thank you, Janice, for helping me also when I came here. She was the one who helped me a lot, and we'll miss you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, Janice. You brought me aboard and you will be missed.
Yes, igualmente, gracias. Creo que yo inicié con mucho miedo porque no es mi idioma.
Thank you. Once I got here, I was a little bit fearful because my language.
Pero tenía muchas ganas de poder ayudar a la comunidad, de aprender sobre todo. Y ella fue siempre me recibía con una sonrisa y para mí ese era mi desestrés. Quitaba mis nervios y me enfocaba en escuchar, aprender cada día.
But because of you, you're the one that helped me out. Every time I will come here, you will, I will see your smile and I will take the nerves away from all the situations that I was going through. And I wanted to help my community as well.
Siempre tuve muchas preguntas y siempre que enviaba un email, ella me lo contestaba con mucha amabilidad. La vamos a extrañar. Siempre que entre aquí voy a buscar esa sonrisa. Así es que thank you y ojalá que todo esté bien.
Yeah, every time I had a question, I send you an email and you will answer me back really fast. So every time I'll come here, I will look for the smile and I'm sure I'm gonna miss you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments? Anyone else have any comments for Janice? Again, Janice, adjourning and thinking this is your last meeting is just a really sad thing. So in honor of you, we will adjourn and thank you for your service.